Hello again, and we're at book club number 3. So this one is by James Northman. It's called Wildcards. Book 1 of this series is called The Dread Pirate. Amazing book. I'm just going to read the synopsis, and then we'll continue on from there. This one's a bit of a heftier synopsis than normal, so I apologize for any mistakes there. At the District 1 Invitational, a rookie esports team defied all odds and reached the finals. Their underdog story and humble beginnings elevated them to worldwide acclaim. Media corporations dubbed them the Paragons. With their main competition eliminated from the tournament during the semifinals, the rookie team sailed through the live finals and won by a landslide. Their prize was to become the first ever players in the most exclusive VR game yet. Abaddon. Said that wrong. The Paragons never celebrated that semi-final victory. They lost a friend in that match who never appeared online again. 10 years later, the gaming landscape has changed and Abaddon with it. Helena is the last remaining Paragon. Her team now consists of celebrities, influencers, and musicians. Abaddon has been reduced to a shadow of its former glory, but is the most streamed and viewed game in the world, despite having only a handful of players. None of this matters to James Sylvester. Finally out of the hospital, things aren't good for James. He's found himself crippled with medical debt. His gaming license has been revoked, and he's permanently lost his place in society. He now spends his days competing in illegal slum arcades to manage the repayments. When a high-profile job comes along, James gets the temporary backdoor access to his blacklisted gaming account. After reactivating it for the first time in 10 years, James receives an invitation that could change his life forever. There's a disclaimer here, and this number goes, the story is no way or form associated with the works of George R.R. Martin and has no link to the popular series Wildcards. This is a lit RPG story of my own creation that shares that name. That's the disclaimer. So the assumption here is that there's a George R.R. Martin story called Wildcards. I have not read this story. That is interesting to me, so I might go back on it. So in the synopsis, we can pick up a couple interesting things. A, you need a license to play VR games. B, your place in society can be changed depending on how much debt. And I'll spoil little things. So depending on your class in society, you can I think there's S class or just A class, one of the two. But you also have descending order, so A, B, D, C, E. Our guy who went from what we assume to be like a C class, so middle wealth, middle management position in life, dropped down to E class through exponential medical debt. So an Abaddon is a game which people stream, but only a handful of people have access to, which is it's interesting for a few reasons. I do think it's very odd, but it works for the storyline, so that's fine. Currently, at the time of recording, there is 44 chapters, if I'm correct, and that doesn't include that also includes if he has put out any blurb chapters, which do happen every once in a while. Very good, interesting book. A bit of a slow start, but because we now have a bit of a buffer, it's very interesting. We have an interesting character, interesting development. It doesn't spend a lot of time faffing about at the beginning, trying to world build. The world building slowly piles into as the book continues, which I think is a very, really good way of doing it. I will say I feel like he has skimped on some of the reasonings why some of the way his world works. There's a time limit to being in VR. There's how this whole structured society came about. There's a few things which don't really jive or don't make a lot of sense, but they're not immersion breaking to the point where it's unreadable. Other than that, it's an incredibly well written story, very interesting to read. Definitely something I'd give a shout to someone to watch. The character especially is really, you back him. It's the ultimate underdog story, but also the put upon protagonist, the one who's had a bad hand dealt to him, that he's slowly recovering from that, and he's not, oh, the world owes me something. He's very much just excited to be there, and I think that really makes the story heartwarming. Well, this is definitely as much as I'll go into in the book. I might go into it more at a different time, but for the book club, I think this is pretty good all around. So this is book club number 3, The Wildcards, book 1, The Dread Pirate, and hopefully we'll see you guys again next time.